child on one arm and 2 bags. And I started brand new. And it was the happiest I ever was. Technology needs to be embraced. It is vital. I think not so much older people, but I think people in general are scared of it. I have no respect for a parent that gives an 18-year-old boy a car that he will kill himself in 2 minutes. Keep your connections on LinkedIn. Build that profile wisely.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. And today, I have an amazing guest in the house, a woman I have been longing to have a conversation with, and finally, we are here. Her name is Vanessa Marques. She is the founder and CEO of the Green Board, an organization that she's going to tell us more as we get into the conversation. Vanessa, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Nicky. It's a privilege being here.
This is a long overdue conversation.
Yes, most definitely. And thank you for the time.
Absolutely. So tell us briefly what you do, what the Green Board is. Yeah.
So basically, I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I started a company, secretarial / technological company. And we'll go more into that throughout the discussion.
Absolutely. Okay. You are so welcome.
Thank you.
So I will ask, as I always ask most of my guests, have you ever been disrupted by life? Either from maybe childhood, adulthood, disrupted in the terms of circumstances beyond your control, something you had no control over?
The answer is yes, yes, and yes.
I love that answer. Yeah, give us a bit of more details about that.
Okay, so growing up, we had a bit of a shaky childhood. I used the means given to me and I built on them. I took things that were out of my control and I just made them happen. I raised 2 beautiful, wonderful children on my own, built a business on my own, and I think I've given back a lot to society.
That's awesome.
Yes, and I've been knocked down a couple of times, which we can discuss throughout the conversation. But the trick is to get up. You got to sell your brand, yourself, and no negativity. You walk into a room and what you put out, people feel. They buy you before you walk into the room.
Absolutely.
If you don't believe in you, no one else will.
Absolutely.
So it's all about the positivity, taking the bad and getting back up.
I love that. I love that.
But we call it disrupting now. It's a beautiful new terminology. Excuse me. And it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It makes so much sense. It's modern. It's impactful. And if you're not scared to embrace this in your life, you're going to be fine.
Absolutely. So, from what you're telling us, there were times in your life where you were disrupted beyond your control.
Correct.
Have you ever intentionally disrupted your life? Like, maybe you get to a certain point where you're like...
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
Tell us more about that.
So, growing up, I always knew I didn't... Not to be an entrepreneur, funny enough. I never knew that part of me existed. So I went through the ranks. I was very dedicated. From a youngster, I knew I would not be a person answering phones. There was no way. So I used to harass. I started at the JSE. And I think my old colleagues would know I would not answer phones. I'd take on everybody's work. I learned and learned. I pushed. At the youngest corporate finance job anyone's ever seen without a degree. But on the side, I had 2 little young ones, raising them. I started studying. Couldn't buy textbooks. I used past papers. There's always a way through every challenge. People look at something and they just walk away. You've got to look at a way to overcome it. And I always say, I don't have a plan A. I have a plan G. I'm one of those people. You can never look at life with one, you're bound to fail. But if you don't fail, you do not learn. And I think people are scared of failing. But that is your biggest teacher. And you will never know things until you fail.
Absolutely. You mentioned briefly about your time at the JSE.
Yes.
I think I want to get into details of that. How did you get into...
My biggest fear, and it's not to insult anyone, was to be a PA, a secretary. It was because back in our time, woman, that was the job you were labeled for. You were going to answer phones, transfer them, type people's things. And that was not what I was going to be.
Wow.
Absolutely not. And that was my foot in the door. So when I left school, I didn't do very well. I'm not going to lie. My brother called me Norman No Mates. I studied very hard, but I obviously don't have the studying thing. I think it's an ADD thing, which I'm grateful for. It helps me do 10 things at once. If you focus the energy, you can just do so much more than the average person. Okay. So like I said, I started off there, harassed. I was the youngest corporate finance officer.
At the JSE?
At the JSE, yes,
awesome.
without the qualification, but they allowed me and I did fabulously.
Wow.
Then there came a time I had to decide, and I had to immigrate to help my mom. My grandparents were very ill. So I had to make the call to leave the JSE, and in timing wise, it was the worst possible time. I didn't know they were about to list. But even so, family first. So I packed a container, moved overseas. I had my daughter at the time. And unfortunately, when I got to Portugal to help, my grandparents passed on shortly after. God. But it's a thing I will never go back at. I had the time with family, you know. So I packed 2 suitcases, and this is what I came back to South Africa with, guys.
Wow.
A child on one arm and 2 bags. And I started brand new. And it was the happiest I ever was. The less you have, the happier you are. A lot of people don't get that. We all focus on material. It's not about that.
That sounds like you disrupting yourself.
Correct.
And then getting disrupted
and
along the way.
Re-owning it, yes. So you walk back in. But when I walked back in, there was, when the markets crash. I walked back in
2008.
the worst possible time. Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, it was earlier. It was the earlier one.
Okay.
And there were no jobs.
Yeah.
So then I looked at this and I saw there was a job spec in a paper as a company secretarial. Now at the JSE, I used to do work on the opposite side of the fence. We used to approve their work. So I looked at this and I thought, right, this is the job I need to do. So I looked at the courses available and I saw Intech, paid it all myself.
Wow.
And then, like I said, using the past papers. And I actually did quite well. I was paying my own studies, studying till 12, 1 at night, having my daughter watching TV, not knowing that was a no-no. Routine was essential. We learn as we go. There's no handbook on how to have kids and whatnot. Then when I had my son, I realized, okay, routine. And yes, I just started, I got 6-month contracts at all the big listeds. So that's how I gained the experience. And yes, I landed some amazing roles.
Wow.
Then I was at the SABC, another world which I thrived in.
Wow.
I mean, I think I'm a creative at heart. I like to think I bring color into a very black and white world of corporate law. Corporate governance is very boring. People are scared of it. But there's such a beauty to it, The type of work I do is very black and white. When I walk into a room, people give me a bit of a side look. I do, like I said, bring the color into it. But it's a beautiful field, and you just got to get it right. And it's not difficult to understand,
Awesome.
People, they just back off from it, and they
So you worked at the JSE,
Correct.
you worked at SABC,
the Sun Internationals, the Bidvests of the world, the big places, Tiger Brands, yes.
And working with these big companies, and at some point you decided you want to start your own.
No, so then I was headhunted from SABC, and I joined Computershare. And there I started their company secretarial division. This is when I knew I was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
This is when I knew I could sell,
Wow.
It's the first thing that actually made me realize what I was good at. So I had to build a big division.
Wow.
So I hired these youngsters. That's another passion of mine, is training people, giving back, I'd teach these graduates and I'd bring in as many as I could. My boss used to hate me.
So after working at these amazing organizations, like established businesses, like big businesses, and then at some point you just decided, okay, you need to start your own thing.
Yeah, so deciding that, it came about 2 years before I left. Having to do, working yourself up, which is the best way to start at the bottom, and you do every type of job available. Us also, we deal with board meetings, especially places like the SABC. They print packs, we're talking board meetings, packs, tons of paper, and I thought, no, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And I was busy building this thing. I'd meet programmers on the side. I had such beautiful ideas, to bring everything onto a tablet. And then I saw this was started with magazines first. And I saw, no, this is starting to flood the market now. So I thought, no, let me give my boss this idea, because I cannot do this right now.
Yeah.
And eventually it came, he said, no, we cannot do it, because we were run by the UK and Australia, you know. So we had to follow their rules. So I thought, no, this is the time. Handed my resignation in. And that's where the green board came in.
Wow.
Green is because we're giving back, and board is the type of the board meetings, and setting up companies for people. Okay,
great. Before we get deeper into the green board,
yes,
there is a certain transition that I want to understand more about your journey.
Yes,
from PA to company secretary.
Correct.
What is the link between the two?
Okay, well, the link is knowing the job you don't want and getting as far away from it as possible. Unfortunately, like at the JSE, everyone comes in, they're already varsity grads. We didn't have that, that privilege. We had to make it happen for ourselves.
Yeah.
And, I still keep studying if you don't keep on improving yourself. So at the JSE, I did and I paid all my own ones. I never ever took company budgets. I've just been raised that way. So I've studied various things, a compliance officer, I'm a registered trader.
Yeah.
I can give advice. It's, I've done every little thing I could possibly do. Every course I could better myself.
Yeah. So at what point did you move from like the PA to a company secretary?
Well, okay, so it was from PA.
Yeah.
I jumped then I was first continuing obligations officer. It's quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
So they monitored the market, watched trades. This is where they arrest people.
Yeah.
Then I moved into corporate finance, which is a little bit more out of my, not depths, but it's a lot more complicated. It's deal transactions and, but again, I was very proud of myself.
Wow.
Did very well there. And then the move, obviously another disruption.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
But a very good one.
Yeah.
Because it would never have brought me out of that one world into a brand new world.
Yeah. What is the difference between a PA and a company secretry?
Oh, there's a huge difference.
I know, right?
The name is so confusing. So many years ago, a company secretary was a very male-dominated job. So if you looked at a letterhead, you'd have your directors, and then there was one male company secretary. So the word it's secretarius, okay? It means it's a keeper of secrets. So a company secretary goes into a board meeting. They hear such confidential advice before anybody else. We know what salary increases are, what is coming, what is happening before anyone else in the business. So we cannot disclose any of that information. You've got to be you've got to have such ethics, It's all about that. And while you're in that board meeting, you advise. It's a legal job. That's the big difference. You advise board members on corporate governance, what they can and cannot do. Insider trading. You've got to. So the terminology, the job is named wrong in my mind.
Yeah,
they need to call it something totally different. Back in the day, people may have understood it, but again, when you send out a CV, I'm sure when they advertise a company secretarial job, they get inundated with secretarial.
Yeah, admin type of work.
Correct. And it's totally not.
Up until for trying to study and understand your background, I thought it was the same thing.
Of course.
It was only from learning your background that I was like, she's differentiating this too.
Everybody thinks that. They should call us governance officers or, because we go down. So we've got the same accountability and liability as a director. So let's just say a deal went down. That's why minuting your meetings and all these governance roles that we put into a place, they are vital because we go to court. So like I said, I have as much liability as the director sitting next to me.
Wow. Do you need a law degree to get into that or a law background?
We've got a CIS qualification.
Okay.
And then a lot of what we do, you'll get people who are lawyers. Then they just write 4 board exams. And then they get the company secretarial qualification. That's more of the admin side. A lot of people outsource. In our game, and this is where the market's going. Yeah. Everyone is outsourcing, they're cutting costs. So this is where our business comes in and we run.
Great. Before we get to the green board.
Yes.
You've worked in admin, which is the PA type.
Serious
and
admin.
Over the years, you've worked there back then when it was really the thing.
Correct.
And compared it to it now in 2023, right? How has that industry changed because of technology? Do you think that young women or young men or whoever should still be aspiring to be a PA to anyone?
Look, okay. Technology needs to be embraced. It is vital.
Yeah.
I think not so much older people, but I think people in general are scared of it, and they mustn't be.
Yeah.
It is never going to replace the human touch. It may take a few jobs, but essentially when the machine breaks, or I'm not knocking technology, the thing is we need to work hand in hand with it. Do not be scared of it. It is not going to use it to build yourself, you know?
So people can still aspire to work as PAs and all of that. Okay.
Most definitely.
Okay.
You're never going to get a robot making you coffee. You know? Maybe I'm wrong. You know,
I wish you are.
Like you're saying, the chat GPTs and the beautiful things that have come along now.
Yeah.
They've helped so much. Your speech can be typed, and you know, there's such outstanding things. And if you do not keep up with the times, you've left your ticket at the bus stop. You're not going to go into the future. And having 2 kids around helps. You know, they're always bringing me the new things.
Yeah.
And they laugh at me. I mean,
right.
It is a different world. All I say is embrace it.
So what was the defining moment that came, or that push you to decide I need to be on my own?
Okay. Well, it was definitely, I had this dream. I'd been working on it 2 years before, and I was so ready. And I just, you know, people plan before they leave a company. They're scared. I never had that problem, Nicky. I'm not going to lie.
Wow, that's good.
Look, it could be foolish or it could be good. In my case, you know,
maybe both.
I jumped without looking.
Wow.
And I never regret it. It's the person I am.
Great.
You know what? I don't think if I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, if I look back, I think most people would have had heart failure. You know, I did not plan, but it worked.
It worked.
Because I was so confident that this would work. I made it work.
Wow.
You know?
Was it because working with these companies, you saw the gap?
It wasn't a gap. I wanted to bring my vision and my product in. And I was the first in South Africa.
Wow.
So it was a single one-woman owned business. It still technically is.
Yeah.
I'd love to grow it. But what I've done, I've been published in Nexus. I've jumped hurdles that were almost impossible.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Yes, you've got to be proud.
I would like to speak on when I was reading your profile, defining what is your role in the company. You said the chief cook and bottle washer. I laughed out loud. Can you tell us more about being the chief cook and bottle washer?
So I do everything from taking the call. Ideally, you have a team. You've got your accounting, your marketing.
Yeah.
I am everything. Okay. I'm going to
chief cook.
Advertise.
I love it.
Binding the packs at night, doing everything, seeing it right from the beginning to the end, even invoicing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's some of the things that makes people scared of taking that step. They don't want to be the chief cook and the bottle washer, but it's something you have to do. Myself, I could relate with that because that's basically
you
me.
You understand it. Who's going to do it for you?
Who's going to do it for you?
Ideally, yes, you want your team of staff.
Yeah.
But I'm also, you know, like I believe if you want something done well, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Ideally, when you get to a place and you've grown, fine, you bring your people in. It's not scared that people will take your things and run with it. I'm complete opposite. I think you train people, and if someone knows more, everyone knows more than you.
Yeah, sometimes it's lack of resources as well.
We can't know everything. You know, people who claim they do are just complete liars.
Yeah.
You know, if I've made a mistake, you've got to take accountability. You own it. And it's the only way. And teach people what you know. Don't be scared of it. Yeah.
So how did you navigate the fear and the uncertainty that comes with taking such a step like leaving a stable job? Sometimes living is not that people love the company so much. It is the security the salary provides that people don't want to leave. And it's not easy, especially as a single mom, to be able to take that step. So how did you navigate that fear? You couldn't have been bold all the way through, like, I know I got this, I can do this.
Unfortunately,
there probably was a time where there was fear. How did you navigate that?
Can I tell you when the fear stepped in?
And the uncertainty.
Okay, the fear and uncertainty was not the resignation.
Yeah.
That was the relief, because now I can go. What scared me was the reality.
Oh, yeah.
Go. You know, when you're working, you can get loans for days. I tell you what, there's no shortage.
Yeah.
When you are not unemployed, self-employed, wow. This is one theory I have to put out there. It is fact. Be careful. A lot of people that always say you need to have 3 months savings or 6 months savings ideally.
Yeah.
Never did that.
Yeah.
Never. The banks are not kind. Life is not kind. If you're going out there, they treat you like you have no financial record. You have no history. It is frightening.
Yeah.
And I think government in the world needs to step in there and help smaller businesses.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, that was my biggest concern. It wouldn't have saved me. And also leaving a stable salary, I get that.
Yeah.
But there's a ceiling to that, Nicky.
Yeah.
And, it's great to know, yes, you're going to earn this, but you can never do more.
Absolutely.
Having your own thing, there might be months you have nothing. But then there are months you bring in and
And this is one of the things that keeps people stuck, right? Speaking of getting a loan or getting financed by these financial institutions
correct,
or whatever,
correct,
right?
Yes.
You will see that someone with employment, they will finance a car.
Yes.
For that person.
Correct.
No questions asked.
Correct. Yes.
But as soon as you step out and you want to start something.
How can you then you need these tools.
Then everyone is looking at you like, no, we're not taking that type of a risk.
How do you have such a record and you're just discounting this person?
Yeah.
And I find that very unfair. And like I said, I don't think it'll change anytime soon. But if people are listening, the people who can help need to listen.
Yeah.
They need to step in and not just help a certain majority. You need to look at proposals.
Yeah.
And also I think those finance proposals, they scare youngsters.
Yeah.
Even myself, it's difficult to put these proposals together. I might be very good at what I do, but putting a PowerPoint together, I don't have that type of skill, and that's your marketing aspect. You need to look professional. So you need these things, they should have people there to help you. And you can help graduates on the street.
Yeah.
You can bring in people that can help you put these business plans together. There's a lot of tricky things.
So with you facing, after leaving your work and facing these challenges of, being financed and all of that, how did you eventually navigate that? Did you bootstrap yourself?
Well, what I had to do, I obviously took what I could, okay? The finance that was available to me, which was very limited. And thank you for family. I can tell you now, I owe them the world.
Wow.
And then I got my foot in the door. I found my programmers, and this is where heaven started.
Wow.
Heaven.
That's great. Because there are people that don't have that type of support that you had.
Thank heavens.
They don't have someone that can back them up.
I am so grateful.
Financially.
I am so grateful. People who believed in me. And wow.
What advice do you have for someone who basically maybe don't have someone to fall back on, but they have this dream and this vision they want to accomplish?
Do not make the mistake I had made by jumping before looking.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, finance is your biggest hurdle. If you want to do this as badly as I did, try and get someone to back you before. And it doesn't have to be family. There are businesses out there. There are entrepreneurs out there. Look at people who you admire. You take a chance. You contact as many people. Business and relationships are vital for any business to thrive.
I call it social capital.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. If you are not good with people, if you have the gift to speak to people, that is you. You are sorted.
So how has your mindset shifted in terms of being an employee and now to managing your own business? What is the shift in mindset that you've experienced?
Look, the first couple of weeks was a culture shock. I'm a very people's person, and I think I speak to myself the whole day. That was a big thing for me. I loved going in, and I just talk way too much. It's the way I was raised, and it's just me.
It's okay.
It's a gift. I think it's a gift. But on your own, you look like a bit of a freak.
So that was a
culture shock. Sitting there and not having someone to talk to. But after a while, you get used to that. And then you pick up that phone and you go to meetings, It does change, and now I'm very used to it.
Wow.
It took me a good year or two to settle in. But
that's something I've never thought about, and it's quite true.
It is.
Because you transition from this corporate environment where you get in the morning, look at what's happening out here, everyone, how are you, and everything, and then you're back in your house.
And you're at home, and you're like, oh, this is weird. But and if you don't focus, you need to sit and focus. But with me, I need a lot of pressure to perform.
Yeah.
The more on my plate, the more I actually do.
Wow.
I've got one little task. It takes me a bit longer to get going. I need the fire.
I love the way you really articulated that.
Yeah.
Because some people may be facing, after leaving their particular job, right?
Yes.
Or starting their own thing, and they start feeling these feelings that they don't know how to name them. They're not understanding what is going on. I think for a lot of people, they won't be able to sit down with themselves and be like, no, I think I just miss my colleagues. They don't understand that's really the case.
A big thing. If you're a people's person.
Yeah.
But if you're an entrepreneur, guaranteed you are.
Yeah. Maybe for introvert is different. They'll be like,
but in introverts, they may start their own business, but then they're going to need a lot of support. You're going to maybe need a face of the business because you've got these beautiful ideas. You may need someone to articulate them for you properly.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
So have you noticed any personal transformation within you?
Most definitely.
While running your business?
Most definitely. You've got to walk into a room, own it, command it. You cannot be shy. There's no time for this. You've got to, like I said, if you don't believe, you've got to be this energy. People feel an energy. It's not about, I might have the best product and just walk in there and just not own it. You know, I sell that by, as I walk in, that smile, and that you can't help it. You could think this woman needs some help, or you and I see it in a boardroom. Believe me, a boardroom, you've got a few characters, and you see who's got you. They follow you around this room, and then you see the ones who think medication, you know. But you believe, and they will buy it.
Right.
They will buy it. They can swing you questions you can't answer. Often I can see confusion in people's faces. They'll ask a question and I answer it, and I can see them looking at me a little bit funny. Then I say, that's what you wanted to know. And I think they're like, yeah.
They didn't expect you to answer what?
No, I may not have answered it properly because I can see the confusion in their eyes. You know, I may not, did I get it? You know, is that what you needed? Again, if I don't know something, jot it down and I'll make sure I know it the next time.
Awesome.
See, with me and technology, I'm also not, I studied obviously with the qualification. I've done IT 1, IT 2, but it's still very, you know, it's still.
Yeah, we're all still learning.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm selling a programming tool. Not programming, it's a board meeting and governance solution. So obviously I get a lot of IT queries thrown at me.
Wow.
And I will never take full ownership because there I'm going to, so ideally I'd like to have my team in with me, you know, that I can bounce those questions.
Awesome.
But this is a shortfall. I need to start learning that part.
Awesome.
I do. I really do. Like I said, the learning never ends. Guys.
It never ends.
It never ends. And if you think that, you're misinformed.
You know, speaking of personal transformation, when you start your own thing, I've had people ask me when I share my story, you know, how has your journey been? Or people get really excited about me writing a book and all of that, you know, based on the story and things that I had to go through. People get really excited, but I'm always like, hey, listen, the most exciting thing for me is not that I wrote a book. It's not that I have been able to speak on certain stage or travel to certain places I never knew I would. The most impactful thing for me as a person is the person I became in the process of writing the book, in the process of trying to figure it out. My disruption, as you know, did not happen the way yours. Yours was by choice, okay? Now I'm quitting my job, I'm starting. Mine was my boss calling me in and saying, sorry, we have to let you go.
Oh, wow.
You know, but so that's the difference.
What they call pivoting.
Yeah, it was a difference, and it wasn't something that I expected, you know, being laid off, being retrenched. You don't get up one morning and you're like, okay, today's the day I'm going to get retrenched, right?
You just get, so you've got to pull the parachute.
You don't.
I know.
Yeah, so it was very difficult for me, but and navigating that journey taught me so many lessons. Hence the reason I was asking you, what mindset shift have you experienced, you know, from being in the world of work and now doing your own thing? Because personally, I have completely there's a shift in mindset, how I used to see things, the personal transformation, which what I celebrate is the person I am today, not necessarily the book and the speaking gigs that I get, not necessarily all of that. But it's made you grow. But it's the growth, it's the mindset shift. It's you getting out like, I'm really doing this thing on my own.
Correct. But Nicky, I must say I'm so proud of you because how many people get retrenched every day? and get, who would do what Nicky's done? I can tell you now, a handful. Not everyone did it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's only special people that can do this.
Oh, wow. You feel special.
And I'm saying I'm so proud of you,
Thank you.
Admiring other people, what your colleagues have done. Because there's not many people that have the guts to do this,
It's the mindset. Like you mentioned earlier, right?
Yes.
When something happens to you, do you sit there and cry all day?
Or bad? You don't say, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
What is this trying to teach me?
Absolutely. But I did cry though. I cried for a few. There's a time you get there and you're like, but
with the business, my first month, I was like, what have I done?
You can't keep
what have I done?
Pouring tears on the table the whole time, right?
I sent you an email.
Yes.
It was so depressing. I think Nicky was going to jump, and I got a phone call the next day, and it was just a woman that just inspired me. And I was saying to Nicky, I sent her one the next day.
I saw the email.
And I said, please do not read that email. No one buys a sad story.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
Everyone has a sad story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want the happiness. You want you.
Yeah.
I learned such a big lesson.
Yeah.
And even this, again, has life knocked you and disrupted you? COVID disrupted us all.
All of us.
COVID literally destroyed me. And I'm not going to say loss, and loss. I told you, I lost everything.
Yeah.
Even my hair.
Yeah.
It was frightening. It put me into a very dark place, guys, a very dark place. And I whined and whined and whined. Nicky will know.
I know what you mean.
Nicky will know.
For me, when COVID happened, it was the second retrenchment for me. That's how I felt.
It is. I felt like you go to show, and I tried to talk to people, and they run away from you. It got better, but it never. And I thought we would actually never, to be honest with you, thought this is going to be life from now on.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
This is not. And only now I've seen the light.
Yeah.
But this is so much reinforced that I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was telling Nicky, I'd sent my CV out recently to 250 roles. And I got declined for all. And I was taking this personally. And I was speaking to this lady who happened to call me. And she said, but are you a business owner? Oh, you're going to work for a boss.
Exactly.
And I said, you know what? What was I thinking? I am a business owner. It's never going to change. So I'm reinventing again.
There was a time where you felt like maybe you can just get a job and...
Well, I thought, but you know what? Deep down I knew, but there's a time where you cannot, you have to accept what's given to you.
Yeah.
And sending these CVs, I did not once, I knew deep down.
Yeah.
But speaking to this lady, own your stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Bad things happen.
Yeah.
I used the right word there.
Yeah.
I nearly used the wrong terminology there. Bad things happen to good people. It happened to the whole world.
Absolutely.
Stop whining. Get on.
Yeah.
We were all in the same storm. We just had different boats, or some had rafts, some had luxury yachts to carry them through it.
And sometimes we just need people like that to remind us who we are.
Definitely. And always, if you don't believe in you, again, I reinforce it, nobody else will.
Absolutely.
Nobody else will believe the things you're selling.
Absolutely.
At least you
know, to highlight back on the fear and the uncertainty that COVID brought.
Oh.
When it happened, like you mentioned, I never really thought it would be over.
Oh, I didn't.
I thought this was life,
to be honest,
from now on.
And I
but the question
myself.
for me was, how do I survive this new life?
Correct.
Like all I knew was speak,
people and laugh, and
be invited as a guest speaker, a keynote speaker,
and then of people.
Suddenly there are no events happening.
I know.
That was my bread and butter. Like, what next? Where to from here? How do I survive? I literally started also thinking about looking for a job. But okay, who is going to employ you, Nicky?
And why? No, they'd be lucky to have a Nicky. They'd be lucky, but you would be so bored, Nicky.
I would be
so bored, Nicky.
There were so many questions. I was like, where do I start from?
I know.
Okay, I'm applying for a job. Okay, what kind of a job do I have to really apply for now? So there were so many things going through my mind during COVID.
Sure.
And before I knew it, I think towards the end of 2020, I was invited for an event. I was like, oh my God.
This is wonderful. This is great.
This was the biggest green light I was looking for. I was like, so there's a possibility of me being back on stage?
Oh no, it's beautiful.
I was like, though it was virtual though, but I was like, okay, this new life, something can actually come out of it, right?
Correct.
I could maybe still do this thing virtually, even though I was bored out of my mind to have to sit in my house, do everything,
But at least you had a plan.
it showed me that
there's
all hope was not completely
correct.
lost.
But like I said, guys, again, never have a plan A and a B. You've got to have the whole alphabet. You've got to have the whole alphabet. The whole alphabet. Because usually the first 5 don't work.
I love the whole alphabet.
But you got to try them all. You got to be inventive. It takes a special kind of person.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
But
I think some people are so stuck with their plan A that
the people don't have self-belief, I think. And also, we all totally different. Thank heavens for that. You're not everyone can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So what advice, speaking on that, what advice do you have for someone who is maybe listening to us
and
now
wanting
thinking,
to do,
maybe it's time for me to jump?
Yes.
What advice do you have for such a person?
Like I said, we don't all have the means, and we don't all have that personality and that drive.
And the mindset.
But I do not discourage you. If you've got an idea you believe so much in, get help. And when I say get help, talk to people. Use the platforms that have been given to us, your LinkedIn, your social medias, your speak. There are people that can guide you. You might never have the personality, but you've got to know it. So just get in people, advice, learning, read your heroes, Take these books. Those are generally the only books I read.
No.
Your Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Richard Branson's my hero.
Yeah.
I love these entrepreneurial stories where these kids who couldn't speak, they were dyslexic. Those are my heroes.
That's great.
These people who came from nothing and built themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's a belief in yourself. It's when people tell you no, that should be your biggest motivator.
Wow.
Is to show them yes.
Yeah.
So again, if you've got that thing and you truly believe and you just don't have the personality per se, you've got the whole thing. Hire the people or bring people in. You don't necessarily, if you don't have the funding, there are so many ways around it. Bring in a graduate that's got this personality. Get him to build your brand.
Yeah.
But you got the smarts.
Yeah.
And if you believe so much, put it out there.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
And if it fails, get up and learn and say, right, I did this wrong.
Yeah.
It's time to go back and fix that.
Yeah.
Things always change.
That's really great. I somehow feel the need to retract back on something you mentioned, still on COVID, and the impact it had on you as a person, you losing everything.
Oh, wow.
You mentioned including your hair. That was really funny.
Yeah, wow.
How did you navigate that, like mentally?
Okay, look, growing up, like I said, we weren't that privileged, So losing houses, cars, to me, it was not a big deal. We used to move, which was again why I wanted to give my kids a lot more stability. I think I've done a very good job on my own. Yes, they haven't had the best, but you know what? It's taught them to be better people. The world can crash and they're going to be fine.
Wow.
They are, and they've reinforced this to me, which makes me feel a lot better.
Wow.
As a mom, you carry this guilt all the time. You don't need to carry it. You put these lessons into them. You teach them how to get up again when things fall. But COVID again, like I said, assets or assets, or liabilities, whatever. You know what? You can build these things. And COVID did teach us this. People were up here and they just got taken down. Doesn't matter who you were, you know?
It's just that not everyone was up there. Some of us were here and we just landed on the floor.
I think people get the very wealthy wrong. There's a handful. The rest of us make up the balance.
Absolutely.
And like I said, losing that it hurts a little.
It hurts.
Not for me personally, watching my kids see it, but it was a good life lesson. Because say this happens to them and it may.
Yeah.
Nothing is forever, guys.
Absolutely.
Especially here.
Yeah.
It's soul destroying. But get up and own it.
Absolutely. Speaking of, losing everything, I've been at that point a couple of times where I felt like this was like, when you hit rock bottom and you are like, okay, this is it.
Correct.
Nothing is lower than this, and then you hit lower and again.
But they say
I have been at those places, a couple of times. And then one of the lessons that I have learned, and especially from listening to Jay Shetty, who wrote the book Think Like a Monk.
Correct.
He talks about detaching from things.
Of course.
Like that's the monk lifestyle. Don't attach yourself to things, so that, okay, if the car is gone, you're still fine. If the house is gone, you're still fine. Because you still have you still have yourself. You still have the veins, the blood flowing through you. So learn to detach from things. So people that would probably have a heart attack if their car is repossessed or their house is repossessed, which especially if you have a family is quite a scary place. We cannot downplay that. But nonetheless, you have to understand that at the end of the day, you will leave this earth naked.
Nothing.
The way
Correct,
you came.
what you came in with.
Yeah.
They say rock bottom has built more champions
absolutely.
than privilege ever will.
Yeah.
You know, if you have not struggled, believe me, people who have struggled actually keep it. It's easy to get handed something to you.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it took to get there, and say you've been given everything, the minute you lose it, those people just don't come out of that depression or that hole. And it's true what you say, Nicky. You can have the best car. They say it's how many people you gave a lift to. There's so much about giving back, and we're human beings, and we all need to help each other. And by speaking to you now, what you're telling me is exactly what I've been trying to reinforce into my kids. Everyone who cares for a Rolex, who cares, to me, it's never, those things have never fazed me.
Yeah, same here.
Never, and they never will, quite frankly. You know?
It's really about the impact you have in the world.
Correct.
The impact you have in your kids' life.
Correct. And you make everything fun, as tragic as it seems.
Yeah.
It's not tragic, we're all alive. So let's build and make this losing the house. Okay, let's go on some little holiday. You can make it fun, or you can cry and cry and cry. You know?
My son as a teenager is 14, right? And not being able to have some of the cool stuff that teenagers have and all of that.
I have been there.
And I remember, like, I would sit down and have a conversation with him. I tell him, look, sometimes, yes, I know I cannot afford some of these things you're asking for. But let me be honest with you. Maybe if I even had the money, I probably wouldn't buy them for you.
An apple.
This is the reason. I don't want you to tie your self-worth into a Nike shoe,
100%.
into an Adidas shoe, 100%. And all of that. Develop your self-worth without these things. 100%, and then you are indestructible.
Correct.
Because the moment you think that your self-worth is tied to a latest gadget in market or to a new gaming console or whatever, the moment you think of all these things,
your reality
this is what defines you.
Correct.
You know, and because he has friends he hangs around with that have all these things.
The friends is the problem.
Exactly. So I'm like,
problem.
if I'm buying something for you because it suits you, the color fits you and all of that, it's not because it's a brand.
Correct.
I'm not a brand person.
Correct.
I'm not going to raise a child whose self-worth is tied to brands.
And those kids are usually...
He looks at me like, I'm sure he does get it.
Of course. They don't want to get it.
It's important to have those conversations, right? Because if we are seeing adults being destroyed when they are when their brand or their status is being threatened. We don't want to raise kids to fit into that.
Never. You need to raise kids to see. That's why I said I'm grateful for everything that has happened to me. The kids I don't feel too bad about because I've been a good parent and I have given everything. And you're right. Had I the funding, I can assure you I would not have given everything.
Yeah, that's what I tell my son. Because he understands the part that I don't have.
Correct.
But then I also let me highlight something. Maybe if I had, I would not even, because I don't want their self-worth to be tied to that.
Which I've done. But... you can never compete with the Joneses. And the kids in school, they're going to be faced with these children who wear... I mean, my son looks at things like that. He knows what shoes cost, what this costs. Actually, they're at that age.
It's teenager
but that does not define a person. The parents gave them that. The poor kid doesn't appreciate... It's not the kid's fault, but they don't appreciate the value of life. Or, you know... You get given a car handed to you at 18, or these fans. I hate parents. Sorry, not hate. Strong word. I have no respect for a parent that gives an 18-year-old boy a car that he will kill himself in 2 minutes. What are you thinking? You clearly aren't thinking.
No, it's true. That's true. It's true.
I love that kid that's got a... You know, he might drive a little crappy car, but he will appreciate so much more. If he's brought it in himself... You know, he will look after that car.
Absolutely.
He will learn how to treat life with respect.
Absolutely.
And again, if he loses it, he's not going to jump off a building. Because, you know,
he knows that his self-worth
is a well-balanced individual. Correct. And I know I've done this for my kids.
That's great.
And they still whine and complain.
That's great.
But they deep down, they are good human beings.
Yeah. I think this just, we sort of answered the question, or you sort of answered the question without even me necessarily asking, because I was going to ask, how do you balance being an entrepreneur and a parent? Like, but somehow we already into the conversation, but how do you balance that?
Well, Nicky, what I did...
Because working for yourself and having to raise kids, it's a lot.
Well, look, I've always done that. I know no better. But I think where I was a bit different to the other people, I don't know if you've seen, I'll send you pictures. All my marketing had my kids included. And nobody does that. I'd advertise in the Kalula magazines, and it was a family photo.
Okay, and you were here with your son, so I will believe what you're telling me.
A bit weird, you know? Who does that? But you know what? I am me. I'm not going to change. Like I said, I bring a different side to things. You won't meet another me, hopefully, for your sake.
I understand.
On every corner, you know?
That's great. Yeah. I think I kind of have the same similar, maybe not in terms of marketing, but what I do with my kids, if I have an event where I'm invited to speak here in South Africa, I come with them along.
It's
I'm
such
like,
a proud, you know, you want them to be proud. And you know what,
like,
they always
and also
are,
to
Nicky.
expose them, like see a different type of world, right?
Correct.
So I come with them along and like just sit there and see mommy do her thing, right? Yes. Even in Cape Town, I had an event in Cape Town towards the end of last year. I traveled with my son.
I admire
and
that.
we were there for 5 days, you know. I was like, okay, great. So I take them along. So for me, that's one way of parenting, to be able to balance.
Definitely. And you're teaching your kids not to be proud of you, but what mommy can do and what daddy can do. It's not about, this is not sexist, it's nothing about that. But they are my brain.
Absolutely.
You know? They've seen me struggle. They've seen me going, they've helped me put stuff together the late nights, you know. These are my little soldiers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not, it's not, the business was not for them, but it's to show them what they're capable of.
Absolutely.
And if they're not entrepreneurs, they're not. But it's just to show them what a person can do.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really love that.
Thank you.
That is really amazing, because managing kids and managing a business.
Yeah, sure. But you know, I think a lot of people, I met a chair lady once, and her first opening line to us, she said, you know what, I'm a single mother, but that's not what defines me.
Absolutely.
Those were the most beautiful words I ever heard.
Oh, wow.
Because women like to complain, I'm a single mom, I'm a single mom. Also, whiny, old. You know what? Deal. We there, we can do it.
Absolutely.
And build on it.
Yeah. So what are some key lessons that you can highlight you've learned in your journey? Maybe you can name 2 or 3.
Sorry?
Key lessons
that I've learned. Okay. Okay. Again, first one, ideally plan and budget.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yes. So to start the thing, there's there's no safety net, guys. If you believe you've got to jump, there are so many people I've met, they've got these sterling ideas. When are you going to force yourself to do that?
Yeah.
You actually have to jump, because there's no right time.
Yeah.
There's no wrong time. Well, there can always be a wrong time.
Yeah.
It's like people wait to have kids. We're waiting 5 years. You're never ready. So just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Because worst case scenario, again, have your plan B, C, D, E, F. Because
the whole alphabet.
You can go back. You know, there's no death sentence to what you've done. But my biggest fear of dying was that if I never tried, I could never, at least if I failed, I knew that I tried. That was all I needed to keep me going. Because I would never have forgiven myself if I did not put my all. And if it didn't work, so what? We knew then.
Absolutely. You know, throughout the conversation, one thing you've been highlighting is the importance of lifelong learning.
Definitely.
So as an entrepreneur, as a mom, how do you learn?
I think you've got to keep, life is not a 9 to 5. We know this. And also, again, with your own business, prepare for 20-hour days.
Wow.
Believe me. And keep, like I said, relationships with people are vital. Learning. Sit on your LinkedIn, do your marketing. People need to see you have your face out there.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to keep learning.
Absolutely.
Learning never ends. It doesn't matter if you're 90, it never ever ends.
How do you personally learn? Like, what are your...
Well, funding can be a challenge. Again, you know, so when I was employed, you'd get sent on all these courses, you know, self-improvement.
Yeah.
When you're working for yourself, to pay out a hefty amount to attend a function, you know, you look at things differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you can always contact the people and say, are you looking for a speaker? Are you looking for someone to do the admin for you?
Yeah.
Are you looking for, you know, people that can clean up for you?
That's great.
There's ways to get involved.
Wow. And in that
get exposed,
process, you learn.
And get exposed.
That's brilliant.
Yes. So just always, like I said, thinking out the box is vital. Absolutely vital.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite profound. Yes. Personally, that is also how I learn. You've just highlighted great ways in which people can learn, you know, through offering your services for free.
Correct.
You know, finding out where things can happen, where you can help. That's good ways of learning, right? Because working as an entrepreneur, budget is tight. You can't always pay for fees.
I know this.
online courses. You can't pay for all of the events. There's certain events I want to go, but when I look at the cost of getting to that event, it's difficult. And you know what I have done? Yeah. I reach out to the organizers and I offer, can I speak for free?
Correct. You see, Nicky,
that's how I get in.
Thinking out the box.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the only way to do it. Keep your connections on LinkedIn. Build that profile wisely.
Yeah.
Look at the people that are in the game you want to be in, Read conversations, engage.
Absolutely.
Engage.
LinkedIn is very important.
LinkedIn is vital.
That's really literally how we connected.
Also, you can learn yourself, You don't need the fancy certificates. Go in and do your own thing.
Change also your content, the content you check online.
Correct.
On social media.
Correct.
What do you watch on YouTube?
Follow the trends also.
Yeah.
The chat GPTs. What is this? I need to find out about it.
Absolutely.
It may not, but then you can talk when people are having a conversation.
Absolutely. So learning is not only in school in a nutshell. I think that's what we're saying.
Learning never ends.
Yeah. Because some people, for them, learning can only happen in school. And if it's not happening there, then they're like, okay,
that's a very, very
outdated way of learning.
Correct. Yes.
Absolutely love that. So, thinking of how to move forward in terms of business, those moments where you feel like you need to give up. Oh.
Yes, okay. Well, I've been there, Nicky.
Yeah,
like I said, I've been at my lowest.
Out of that dark place.
Okay, I've been in a very dark place for a good year and a half, and like I said, I was selling the sad story, and it does not sell. It does not sell. And just speaking, you keep this. Like I said, this angel motivated me, and she said, "Why do you want to work for a boss?" And just those words, it just brought back. It reinforced exactly who I was and what I've done and why I've done it. And now, to bring yourself out of that hole again, it's that self-belief. Maybe rebrand. Do something. Start something different. This podcast is my rebranding.
Great.
It is. It is. You reaching out to me. We've been speaking.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look at the positives in everything. Like I said, don't feel sad when something bad's happening to you. Yes, it sucks.
Absolutely.
You will get over it. You can cry about it, or you can turn it into a joke. Joking is essential in life. Essentially, if you're an entrepreneur, you've got to see the good in everything.
Absolutely.
You've got to learn to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Failure, again, your biggest lesson.
Yeah. So, in speaking of learning, digital skills are important for anyone.
Correct.
Irrespective of whatever field you are in or whatever industry you're in.
Most definitely.
Digital skills are important.
Vital.
And a lot of people still look at it like, oh no, this is only for people in IT.
It is, even myself, Nicky, I'm scared of it. I'm not going to lie.
That's good.
Like I said, I'm selling technology, and now I know I need to pull my finger and learn a lot more about it, I need to start answering these questions. But it hasn't stopped me.
Absolutely.
It has not stopped me. I've watched boardrooms change. Years ago, there were no such devices people were scared of, especially because you're looking at an older crowd.
Yeah.
Now you're walking in, everyone.
Yeah.
If you adapt or die.
Absolutely.
Adapt or die.
Absolutely. So digital skills are quite important, whether
vital.
Whatever skill.
And don't be scared, people. They cannot take you. They'll take a few jobs. Learn how you can find the faults in them and how you can better it.
Yeah.
If anything, don't be scared. Go jump into it and learn as much as you can.
Just like you're doing,
Correct.
Selling a technology and you're still
learn
learning.
about it. Yes. Pull it to pieces.
I tell people all the time that personally, I am still learning. Though I've written a book about technology, right?
Correct.
And people get to imagine that, okay, now I understand everything about tech. No,
never,
I'm like,
never.
I don't.
You will never stop learning. That's the beauty.
Sometime during my keynote, I'll actually tell people, when I finish giving a speech, please don't tell me to fix your phone or your laptop.
No, 100%. This is what I'm saying. I sell this, and you ask me, and I'm like, good one. I'll get back to you on that.
So it's a learning process.
And
one of the things I tell people is, you know what, your approach to technology should not be a particular segment of it.
No. You've got
approach it to understand an overall, like how it affects you as a person.
Correct.
And then maybe dial it down to your particular industry or your particular profession.
And
don't try to take everything,
Yeah, it might be daunting and it might be scary.
Of course it is.
It really is.
It is daunting.
But how do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. One bite at a time.
Absolutely.
You know?
I would like you to say that again.
Yes.
How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
That is what we should do. If you're thinking of maybe starting your own business, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So this is such a great nugget for us to end the show with. Vanessa, you've been a brilliant guest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
It was wonderful meeting everyone. And this is definitely the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So for those of you watching, whatever you want to do, don't try to eat the whole elephant one bite at a time. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. It's a wrap. Thank you, guys. That was so lovely.
Thank you. You did brilliant.
Thank you. Hey, guys, you're amazing. Eh?